Hi Libra, how are you? Welcome in to your little intuitive check-in for the end of June. Today we are going to use the Oracle of Mystical Moments, my tribe, my true, my baby girl. I love this deck, I always have. And as I step into your energy, it's really interesting because you seem very much in your own lane, very much minding your own business, but there is this energy that seems to want your attention. It's almost like, okay, little loud motorcycle, which sometimes I interpret motorcycles as like an extension of chaos energy, how they kind of slips through traffic. There seems to be this little energy that seems to be like slipping through a lot of, I don't know, like your defenses, your boundaries, and it seems to just be bothering you. And actually the image that I'm getting is like a mom who's on the phone and their kid, who's perfectly fine, by the way, is in the background going, mom, 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 even though like they can clearly see that like she's on the phone and like there isn't a dire emergency, right? There's sort of, it's kind of like that. It's like this kind of young, pestering energy that just like wants your attention, even though like there's nothing wrong and there's not an emergency and like they don't really need you. And with a Mercury retrograde coming, I believe it's in the sign of Leo, which might be significant for you. And Mercury placements might also be significant for you. I feel like this has to do with an energy of someone that you used to associate with that you no longer associate with anymore. And maybe not for quite a while, Libra. And I'm actually getting the impression that they might have actually gotten themselves in a bit of trouble. They're tied up. There's a bit of spilt milk. There is a mess. And they don't know how to get themselves out of it. And so I wonder if there's like this telepathic, this like psychic calling for you. Now this could be literal, like you could have strange numbers texting you, strange accounts popping up in your DMs, like it all feels like very indirect communication, but energetically, okay, the puppy's in here, but like energetically you're definitely picking up on someone like pulling on the bottom of like your pant legs, and it's very annoying. But I do think you're in an opportunity right now to potentially teach someone a very important lesson about what it means to be cut off by a Venusian, what it means to be cut off by a Libra. So the first three cards in your top line are interesting to me because they feel like three different aspects of yourself. The first of which is this treasured memories, which I'm interpreting as sort of this lower shadow aspect of you who is in this process of digesting and integrating a lot of your past experiences. And because it says treasured memories, I feel like there's something about your shadow going from black to gray. It's starting to elevate, it's starting to integrate with the other aspects of you, things you might have felt jealous about, bitter about, resentful of things from the past. You're starting to make peace from it, and I really feel like similar to a cloud, like you're kind of finding the silver lining in a lot of the things that didn't work out for you. And part of it is because you're doing this really thoughtful, grounded, emotional reflection on your past experiences, noticing where maybe you could have done better or where you could have done differently, noticing how sometimes those reroutes or those disappointments did in fact lead you to better opportunities, or at the very least wisdom that like maybe you very much needed, right? So I think that like the darker parts of you and the parts of you that have been chronically a little bit more wounded are really starting to lighten up, find perspective, integrate in, and that is really lowering, I want to say like your lower limit. So like your floors, your valleys, they're not quite as low, they're not quite as dark as they used to be. You may even be someone that is used to very high highs and very low. What are you doing? Do you see him over here? Do you see him over here? What are you doing? I caught you on camera. Yes, I did. Look at him. No pictures, please. You might be someone who's used to like very high highs and like his dog bed's over here. Very high highs and very low lows. And I feel like you're operating much more in the middle now than you've used to. Then we have this day and night coming immediately after. And this feels like you're more present, conscious, intentional self, right? You as I'm viewing you right now, and very much noticing and recognizing that you're in between two phases, right? And I like that it's day and night, that like you are not in the full illumination of like your tomorrow, but you're certainly not in the basement like you were. And I like that here it's like you're holding a sun in your hand. So I feel like you're being, again, you're minding your own business, you're in your lane, you're very intentional with where you are investing your attention, your time, your energy. I also like these little space buttons that you have as well. Hair is an extension of our energy, so that I like that you have yours really intentionally kind of styled. There might also be something about you putting more like time and effort into your appearance, how you show up, again, what you focus on, your general attitude, your attitude. What are you doing? He's being... I feel like I have to show you this because it's like, it's too cute. What are you doing? It's just too cute not to show you. He's like, I think he's embarrassed. But I think there might be also being very intentional about putting more effort into your appearance, self-care, self-love, devotional practices, like all of that, which I think are like really nice. And I like that you're positioned sort of outside of the forest here. The forest, the jungle, the desert. These are all places archetypally that signify spiritual and psychological alchemy, initiation, journey. So again, I feel like you've come out of like a long process. You're now on the outskirts of the forest. You're not like in the thick of it like you once were. I was talking to Capricorn about this. And you're not quite in your new tomorrow. There's almost showing me like a wagon, like an Oregon Trail wagon. It's like the wagon hasn't come to quite like pick you up and bring you to your next stop, but you're definitely like taking a moment to rest and recharge. Kind of like what Capricorn doesn't have the ability to do right now. I also like the moon at your back. Feels like there's a lot of divine feminine energy and support, kind of having your back, protecting you and almost like keeping you. I like the crescent of this moon. It almost feels like arms that want to embrace you in a hug, but also like keep you focused on the future. I also feel like because she seems to almost be breaking the fourth wall in this card, that you're also, again, very sensitive. You're very attuned right now to the spiritual energies that are around you. So I don't think anyone or anything's really getting anything past you, which is why you're picking up on this external energy who seems to be like calling out for you in a way. And then we have card number 28. Ouch. Can you hear me now? Oh, I don't like that you just did that. That's so interesting. We have this Can You Hear Me Now card, which I feel as though represents your higher self. And part of the reason that I said, oh, I don't like that is because he kind of batted my hand, as he does. He was a little baby. But I have this Nazar ring. It's a little evil eye ring, you see? And as he did that, he knocked it off of my hand, little naughty boy, because the card that comes up next is, it feels like this individual, which does feel like a masculine energy, but I suppose it doesn't have to be. And it feels like this energy that has somehow wandered out, weeded out into your psychic waters, and your higher self is like alerting you to that. And again, like this is charged, it is a protective ring, it could break any second, it wouldn't matter because I have 1,000 pieces of like enchanted protective jewelry, right? But again, it's the idea of this energy trying to make its way like past your defenses or like past your wards or like past your boundaries in order to get your attention. And your higher self seems to be like alerting your conscious self, which is like, hey, what's going on? And sort of interrupting this kind of lower in the belly shadow aspect of you that's doing like an emotional alchemy of the past in order to create a lot more emotional space for an abundant future, right? And so your higher self, again, there's been a lot about like sirens and mermaids, and honestly, part of it could be like reflective of me and my practice. I'm a Pisces. I feel very much in that watery energy at kind of this stage in my life. So maybe like my collective is just really reflecting that as well. But there seems to be just this siren, mermaid, watery, Neptunian, Poseidon type of energy that's like been coming through so strongly. But water is linked to our subconscious. It's also linked to the spiritual realms. And I like that she has this little like kind of conch horn here because it indicates like divine communication. And then I also like that the higher self seems to be like standing guard in some way. So that way the shadow, who normally acts as like the guard dog, has the ability to like relax and kind of work on integrating more positivity and wisdom and again like those lighter energies. But here the higher self is facing off against, I'm gonna call him this Joker, getting against this Joker under my umbrella. This is a card of protection. This is a card of needing assistance. This is a card of friendship. And so again, like who or whatever this energy is, at one point in time, you might have considered them a friend, or you might have considered them more than a friend. And they must know in some way that you're like kind of psychic or witchy or spiritual in some way, because it's almost like if they will not pick up my calls, I will send them beams from my mind. And there's something interesting about this card, about they have somehow waded their way into your psychic waters. And again, I just hear them like Libra. There's also, I'm hearing the name Catherine. I'm hearing the name Catherine a lot. Catherine, but Katie with a C. What's interesting though is he's riding. I feel like he's stuck in these waters. So someone has like followed you, and I did a reading a long time ago about like they shouldn't have followed you here, and it was someone who wasn't particularly spiritual trying to play around with spiritual things in order to like get closer or get access to you in some way, and them finding themselves kind of like stuck in quicksand because they don't know how to navigate those realms. I see something kind of similar to this, and because this is a card of like assistance and support, not only are they asking for your assistance, like, hey, I've wandered out too far and I'm kind of stuck now. I also feel like because they're on this bird, I feel like they're also kind of stuck, I don't know, with some kind of spiritual relationship or an experience. It's like a can of worms they shouldn't have opened. It's almost as if they asked a spirit, or I don't know, again, it feels like they were playing at like being a witch or something. It's like, and they called on a spirit, or they invoked a deity, or like they accidentally summoned a demon or something in order. It's like they couldn't figure out how to contact you spiritually, and so they decided to like pull out a Ouija board and like mess around. And now they're kind of in like that find out portion where now it's like they don't know how to swim in these waters. They've gone out too deep. They need this umbrella, and like the only ally that they have is maybe one that they don't particularly want, an energy, a spirit, something they did that they're not really skilled in whatsoever. They don't know really how they got into it, and they most certainly don't know how to get out of it. So it's like they were looking for you to begin with, but now they kind of need you because they're out in the waters way too deep. And they're out there with someone that is much bigger than them. It's a spiritual force that they cannot control. And now they're like attached to it in some way. But underneath Treasured Memories in your shadow column, you have Oh Sunny Day. And it's interesting that your back is like completely turned in this card. And again, it's fixed towards the sunlight. It's fixed towards the future. And you're sitting on top of a mushroom. This is interesting because that indicates your energy, and even your shadow is very grounded. Mushrooms are also symbolic of protection. They're also symbolic of like a type of like earthy fairy type of magic. So that might be something that kind of lands for you as well. And ladybugs might be significant signs for you. But I like the coloring of the outfit is also interesting too. It's like all white on the bottom. It's like there's a purification of like the lower chakras, again, like in the shadow, in the root. But black, which is like a deflective, protective color, that is all up front. So it's almost like a closing off of like the heart space, at least to this energy. And so the shadow part of you is like, actually, I made so much peace with the past that I'm not even feeling like, haha, sucks to be you got yourself stuck out of there. Like, I actually feel so indifferent to the fact that like you are now in quicksand. I cannot be bothered. I'm like very much focused on like the sun that's rising. Even back here, it's like you're kind of in this, again, like this protective halo, almost like of moonlight, with that moon kind of coddling you in like a really gorgeous way. So like your shadow, who normally would maybe be like, you know what, actually let me get a closer look to this fuckery because like I need a good laugh too, is not even interested in it. There's no desire to assist. There's no desire to help. When it comes to your conscious self and this day and night, you're sitting in the elixir of life, which is really beautiful. And again, there's a lot about your hair here. So you might be like changing your hair, putting your hair up, putting your hair down, trying different styles, like expressing yourself differently. But day and night is a beginning and an end, but most of life happens in the middle, right? And so there's something about you being in between cycles are really focusing on being present, on finding gratitude. You might be making like joy lists, gratitude lists, stopping to smell the roses, stopping to enjoy what you have presently in your life while it's here, like really just like take a beat. And I love all of the blushes. I love the pinks in this card because again, they're really reflective of self-love and devotion and softness and like all of that. It's just so gorgeous. Now in your higher self, this is interesting. I don't normally take reversals, period, just because I don't like reading upside down cards. They're like disorienting for me, especially not oracle cards. But you have change of seasons coming out underneath the higher self, but it came out in reverse. And this very much felt like it wanted to stay that way in order to express like, hey, I'm not changing the season that I'm in spiritually, naturally, in the shadow and my emotional processing, just because someone weeded out into waters that they don't know how to swim in. It is not my, I was gonna say it's not my responsibility to save you from a spiritual like relationship that like you got yourself into, right? Like if you associated yourself with like a demonic entity, a parasite, a deity that now you owe something to, like that's got nothing to do with me. But I almost said I'm not responsible like for your relationship. So that's interesting as well. So maybe this person, I don't know. And take this with a grain of salt, take it as it resonates. But I wonder if this person has now associated themselves with like another intuitive person, another witchy person. I know someone somebody that I used to know, when I stopped talking to them, they ended up getting like another like witchy type of friend who would like try to pull cards on me and stuff like that. So I almost wonder if it's like something like that, and now like maybe one or both of them are having issues, something interesting like that. But again, the higher self is saying, I'm not changing the season that I'm in. I'm not moving from my position just because you've wandered out into a place where you shouldn't have been to begin with, just because you were trying to access me when you should have been leaving me alone, like I was leaving you alone. I'm not responsible for this weird spiritual relationship that like you've now connected yourself to. Like I'm not changing my season. It's almost like I'm not going back to winter because you're in between seasons right now. But with all of this sun, it seems like you're moving into summer. You're moving into a spiritual spring. And you're going, I'm not going back to winter just because this water's too cold for you. That's not my problem. But underneath their card, under my umbrella, it's funny. I'm just hearing under my umbrella. Now I'm just hearing like a bunch of Rihanna songs like, bitch better have my money. We're having all is connected here. So there's something interesting about this individual's, I don't know. I almost want to say this is someone that like typically denies spirituality, or maybe any kind of spiritualism outside of, say, maybe organized religion, something like that. They have like some kind of karmic relationship with spirituality, with those realms that like they need to work through. They need to deal with it. And so I almost feel like they're attracted to, whether it's love, whether it's friends, whatever, like they're attracted to like witchy, intuitive people trying to use you, or maybe again, if this isn't an actual like spirit entity and this is like a witchy person that they're like kind of riding the coattails of, it's like they use spiritualism or they use spiritual people as like a vessel to access something that they could access directly one-on-one but won't because of like their own dogma. Or I'm also hearing pragmatism. It's something interesting like that. And so these spiritual waters that they wade themselves in, these weird kind of karmic contracts they get into other spirits that they can't pay up to, other spiritualists who aren't using their discernment and not realizing that like they're being used in some way. Like this is all connected to like a greater point. And because she sits on this tree trunk, it's something familial. It's something ancestral with this person and their family line about their rejection of spirit in its many forms, but while also trying to benefit from spiritualism or from spiritual people. You don't seem to care so much about that. Again, like you were minding your business, you are in your lane. It's very like la 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 la, like you just kind of doing your thing, but it's like this perpetuant, like it's like a Jehovah's Witness on Sunday morning. You're like, why won't you stop knocking? We're not answering the door. And again, the higher self says, it is not my fault. It is not my responsibility. And like, I'm not dealing with it. He wants to get out. I'm not dealing with it like whatsoever. Very interesting. Do you want to get out, Bubba? Yeah, he wants to get out. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here, Libra, mostly because he wants to get out. I have another couple rows of cards that I want to get into with you, but I'm going to go do it over in your extended reading on Patreon. We would love to have you as a member. We would love to have you for Meditation Mondays and our virtual tarot groups. Your monthly readings for July are coming out, and of course, all your extendeds will be over there. I will also put your Shufflemancy songs, which I didn't even get into, in the description box. Shufflemancy is a form of music divination, so you might want to put them on a little playlist, vibe out, meditate, whatever it may be. And my books are open for personals if you're in need. I love you, Libra. Good job. Keep doing what you're doing. If this is where I leave you, keep doing what you're doing. Keep and just keep focusing on what you're focusing on, because sooner or later, I'm hearing the drift. A tide will come in and take them out to drift, and they'll be back out of your energy. But there is more explore, and I'll see you on Patreon. Goodbye.